Well, welcome to the Gary Neville Podcast. After, it's fair to say, an underwhelming draw from a Manchester United point of view against the bottom club in the league. Let's start with the home side tonight. They were booed off at half-time and booed off at full-time, Gary.
Yeah, they weren't just booed off at full-time. The little walk around which the United players have started to do now every single match, irrespective of the result, the fans waited in the stadium to continue to boo them. Sometimes I think when you get a boo at the end of the game, it's the majority that boo, and then you get, when they walk around the ground, the ones that stay in usually will not just signal the fact that they're appreciative of the fact that they're walking round, but that wasn't it. They were staying in to boo them. I'm not going to get emotional because I don't think it's something that is helpful for anybody. But that was the baddest of the bad. That was the baddest of the bad, because it was. We saw them warming up before the game, and they were warming up in the system of the three at the back with Heaven to the right, Martinez and Shaw, and then up front they had Dalot on the right wing back, Dorgu left wing back, and then they had Xerxes on the right channel, Cunha in the left channel, and Sesko. And I said to you, I said they were warming up in the wrong shape against Newcastle to fool everybody the other night, and then ended up playing with the back four. So I said I'd ignore that. As soon as I saw that shape was actually going to be played, I've seen Xerxes in that right channel before. It just doesn't work. We know that Dorgu is a left wing back. We've seen him play there a number of times now. I'm just going to turn, sorry, I'm hearing something. We've seen him play there a number of times now, and he does okay there. He's willing, and so is Dalot at right wing back. I think they're both willing. I've played that position, and I think I was a pretty decent right back. It's a bloody tough position to play right wing back or left wing back. It just is. And I thought Dorgu was so good on the right wing against Newcastle. I just thought he looked free. He could cut in on his left foot. He looked more inventive. He looked more like a wide player. So I was struggling with it from 30 seconds, but what I didn't want to do was start the sort of negativity after 30 seconds because, the reality of it is you've got to let a game settle in. And if they go score two, you look a little bit stupid as well. But let's be really clear. After 5 minutes, I thought, that's not going to work all night. That is going to be a bad performance. He's going to have to change that after 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, he didn't change it. And after 20 minutes, I said, this is it. They might score two. I think my words were, they might score two in the next 10 minutes, but this is not right. And I've been very complimentary of the last two or three performances. Bournemouth, Villa, Newcastle. Because there have been things in those three performances that I've liked. And I think I genuinely believe that entertainment and performance matters. Matters for two reasons at this club. One is that these fans come here to be entertained like every single other football fan in the country, but you've got to entertain here. There's 75,000 of them coming and they want entertaining. And secondly, I genuinely believe that performance leads to results. I know some people say, results everything, but it's very difficult to play football. Very difficult to win a lot of football matches if you're not performing well. Yeah, we all come out with the old cliche of it's great to win when you don't play well, but that can only be maintained for a short period of time. Eventually, if you're not playing well, you'll start to basically fall over in your results. So for me, the last two or three games, when we've seen something like, you think, actually, that's something to build on. He got a little bit, I don't say confident, but a little bit strange in his press conference, didn't he, a couple of days ago, when he started saying, I've not changed because of the media. You don't need to say, look, I think he's great with the media, Ruben Amorim. I think he's honest. I think he's authentic. He's got great integrity. He doesn't need to be clever or second-guess the media. He doesn't need to answer to the media. He doesn't need to sort of say, I haven't changed because of the media, because then he's telling us basically that the media is in his head. The reason he's had to change is because the performance levels with the 3-4-3 have been so poor. The performance levels have been so poor, and the results have been appalling. If the performances are good, but you draw against Bournemouth and you lose against Villa, we're a glass half empty club when it comes to performances. We'll actually live with if we're entertained. And that sounds really crazy from a group of players that have, I've played out here and won trophies, but honestly, I just come here to be entertained. I do. That's the first thing that I think. I want to walk across that forecourt and see my team play brilliant football and excite the crowd, because that's the kid in me that sat over there in this stand. So when I see that we go back after 5 minutes tonight, and I'm thinking, oh, Ruben, why have you done that? It was really simple tonight. It was more simple. Do you know the AFCON players aren't here? We know the injuries are not there. It's actually made his job more simple. There's more sympathy for him. Sesko plays up top. Cunha plays to the left. Dorgu plays to the right. Xerxes plays in that little hole off Sesko. You've got Agati and Casemiro in midfield. You've got Luke Shaw left back. You've got Aiden Heaven and Martinez centre backs. And you've got Dallow at right back. It's not an amazing team, but it's really obvious that that's the team that should be picked in the system that we should be playing tonight. And it should have been picked, and it was so obvious. It's Xerxes' best position, dropping in. Sesko's got someone close to him, which means he's not playing up front on his own. Cunha just off to the left, and you can drift in. Really, that's fine, because you've got Shaw that can go round him, and Shaw's really good to play with on that side. You've got Dallow then coming from behind on this side, but he's got Dorgu who can cut in, which means that Dallow can go around. And to be fair, Aiden Heaven, the big question marks you'd have in that system would be Casemiro and Agati and Heaven and Martinez. However, I thought Agati and Casemiro did really well against Newcastle. I thought Agati had his best game for the club. And then I thought Aiden Heaven and Martinez did brilliantly against Newcastle. And actually, to be fair, Aiden Heaven had his best game for the club and Martinez came back, from being out. So I thought that those four would just be certain to start in there. And I think tonight, look, I always want to put sort of, it's not just the manager, it's not just the players, it's not just there's a culmination of everything when you get a bad performance. But I do think tonight the manager has to look at that and think, I got that wrong. I complicated it. They just needed simplicity. And playing Xerxes in that right channel, playing Dorgu at left wing back, playing Dallow at right wing back. And then the substitutions, to be fair again, the substitutions made us worse. They made Manchester United worse. Every single substitution was bizarre. I don't know what's happened with Xerxes at half-time.
Yeah, just to clarify, we're still waiting to hear from Amorim.
Well, look, I think if Xerxes was injured, fair enough. Got to get him off the pitch. If Xerxes wasn't injured, and that was a tactical substitution, it was a really poor one. And I'm not saying Xerxes is Eric Cantona, he's not, let's be clear, by any stretch of the imagination. But I have to say, he needed to be out there for physicality, for presence, for experience.
And he'd scored.
You couldn't take him off. So I'm hoping he's injured.
So let's have a word.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm hoping he's injured for Ruben Amorim.
To give him that reason. Yeah. Let's say a word for Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are still winless in the Premier League. We can't take away. And in many ways, Rob Edwards will look at that game and think, actually, we could have won that in the end.
Yeah, look. I said, to have 2 points from 18 matches is absolutely appalling. It's terrible. Devastating for Wolves fans. But they got encouragement early on. They started to settle on the ball. Thought Gomez in midfield was really good. He sort of got on the ball and played well. Hwang's always a sort of talented player. I thought the back players, to be fair, I thought that Sesko caused a few problems with Doherty. I think rolling him and then maybe on the crosses, Sesko looked like a bit of a threat. But generally, the way that Manchester United played, I think played into Wolves' hands, and Wolves grew in the game with confidence. And look, Wolves deserved a point tonight. Absolutely no doubt whatsoever. I've talked about Manchester United there for probably 5-6 minutes. But I have to say, Wolves deserved at least a point in that game. They took the ball, they created chances. Hwang had a couple in the first half. Tolu had a really good header, didn't he, at the end of the first half, just before actually the Krejci goal. And second half was even. The stats were even. Possession United shaded it a little bit, but I think goals expected, Wolves were on top. I think touches in the box, Wolves were on top. That might have changed in the last 10 minutes when United threw bodies forward, but I thought Wolves were absolutely fantastic. They're going to go down, Wolves, and they're going to go down miserably, it looks like. But tonight, they've played well in the game, and they've passed it around well. They've lacked a bit of a punch. And they could have gone and won that game. They could have done something really special and sort of give those Wolves fans over in that far corner who were sort of rubbing their hands a little bit with that corner that was coming in the last couple of minutes. But no, they'll be proud, and I think Rob Edwards has come close with what happened. Obviously, I think they played quite well at Liverpool, I believe, and Arsenal. And tonight they've done well again, so he'll feel it's something to build on. But yeah, they absolutely deserve their point here tonight, Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Technically, they have closed the gap on the side who are closest to, the side just out of the relegation zone in Nottingham Forest, who lost at home to Everton. Now, we weren't able to watch the other games that took place tonight, but looking some at the score lines, what popped out to you? Chelsea, perhaps, because that's a missed opportunity for Manchester United again.
Yeah, I look at Chelsea, I mean, did you tell me before the game that Chelsea had a team that average age was
23.
which is should be something that we're really, it should be something that we really look at and think that's a positive thing. You know, I love the idea of young players playing, but when I think of the Chelsea teams that have won titles, that have won Champions League, they're probably the most experienced teams you'll ever see. I don't think of Chelsea playing a lot of young players. I mean, that happened a little bit when Frank came in, didn't it, when they couldn't sign those players for 12 months. And obviously since the new ownership have come in...
They haven't had that problem since then.
No, but there's been that change of sort of ownership philosophy. But Chelsea historically as a football club were a very direct, aggressive, physical team that were really mature, that have been around the block. And this is the exact opposite, and they're trying to build a football club in a different way. The problem is at times when you watch them, they do look like they play like a young team and they play like an immature team and like an academy football team. Some of their football's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I thought they were outstanding against Villa for large parts of that match. But then as the game just wears on into the sort of home straight, they look like they're going to sort of get beat up. And, you know, as soon as Villa made those substitutions the other day, we've not seen the game tonight, but let's get to the conclusion. It can't be good, can it, for them? When you draw against Bournemouth at home, it's not good. The form that Bournemouth are in. So, yeah, I think it sounds like a really bad night for Chelsea. It sounds like a moment in Maresca's sort of what would be existence at the club that he's going to find it tough in this next week or two because a lot of questions are going to be asked. We'll talk about, you know, the questions being asked of the Manchester United manager, but the Chelsea manager is in a position where he's expected to win, similarly, because of the history of the club and the money that's been spent and invested. And they do play like an immature, inexperienced team. You look at them in the back, you look at them at sort of in the centre-back positions, and you look at them up front, and they just look a little bit flimsy, a little bit weak physically and mentally. You don't feel like they're that strong. You know, there were people, I think, a few weeks ago saying about Chelsea for the title. It was coming up every couple of weeks. Absolutely no chance. They haven't got the makeup. I mean, that's not being sort of disrespectful. They haven't got the makeup of an 11, let alone a squad, to be a title winner. When you look at the people, you look at those men that are playing for Arsenal and for Manchester City, they're real strong physical players. They're just not going to. They're not going to go the distance. Those young lads at Chelsea. You know, people talk about us winning the title here as young players. We had 6 or 7 or 8 absolute physical animals alongside us, playing in that spine of the team. You haven't got a Schmeichel, a Bruce, a Pallister, a Cantona, a Keane, an Ince. Those types of players in your spine. If you put Cole Palmer and sort of other players in and around the ones I've just mentioned there that we were in around, you've got a great chance. But Chelsea haven't got that physical spine. You know, Terry Carvalho, Makelele, Essien, Drogba. You think about that Czech. That's a title-winning spine. That's a team that will literally right through the middle stand strong for 38 matches and demonstrate that they can go the whole way. They're nowhere near that. I mean, they're miles off it. And it's a problem because they spent a fortune, absolute fortune, just like they have here. And the performance levels they're going to be questions asked, unfortunately. And usually in these situations, the questions are asked of the manager.
So should we end with the side that are top of the Premier League tonight? And a big win for Arsenal over Aston Villa. Of course, Arsenal have been missing players in recent weeks. Without Rice tonight, but then able to welcome back other players. Yeah. Where do you see them now? Because, of course, Manchester City are hot on their tail, and Aston Villa have been keeping that pace. A big win for the Gunners tonight. Yeah,
I think Arsenal are okay. Look, they've got City on their shoulder, which is never appealing, with Pep there and Haaland and other players that have won many, many titles and Champions League, so they've been around the block. But they're not going to have it all their own way. They're not going to have it easy. And to win your first title is going to be a massive struggle. Let's be clear. But they're in that struggle, and they're competing in that struggle. And tonight's a good night for them to win 4-1 against Villa, a team that are in great form and a good run of performances and results. Declan Rice is the one player that you look at that I think if he was missing for a longer period of time, it would cause a real issue. I've said for a number of weeks now with Arsenal, I am not listening to one single excuse. They've built a squad that is resilient, that is capable of coping with injuries, that's got 2 or 3 players in each position now, that's had a lot of money spent on it, and it's been cured over a long period of time by Mikel Arteta, who's been given a serious amount of time in the job. This has got to be the season where they lift silverware. They've got the Carabao Cup semi-final coming up in a few weeks. They've got, obviously, the Champions League, but the Premier League title is the one. It is the one they have to win. That's the one that's going to really change the goal, or move the goalposts and be a shift. Sorry, what's that?
Well, we're just waiting to hear from Ruben Amorim, because it would be nice to find out about the Xerxes situation before we go, to clarify it.
Yeah, but going back to Arsenal, no excuses. Get over the line in games where you don't play well. They've done that, but they've also, to be fair, I think played well at times this season. So for me, I think they're on track. It's going to be a struggle. It's going to be tight with City. City going to cause them some problems. City might even pop in front of them from time to time. But I do think Arsenal have got what it takes to win a Premier League title, and it's important that they do, I think, for all concerned there.
Let's ask one more, because we started talking about Manchester United. Let's end by talking about them, because we are at this ground and it's the game that we saw today. What to make of 2025 from their point of view, and what are you expecting in 2026? This being the game we've just seen, the last game of 2025 at Old Trafford. Do you
know something, Seb? I think, look, I'm really disappointed tonight, and there's a number of fans that have come into this stadium in the tens of thousands who will be really disappointed. Because I looked at this run of games, Bournemouth at home, Everton at home, West Ham at home, Palace away, yeah, difficult game, Villa away, difficult game, but then Wolves at home, Leeds away, near the bottom of the table, and Burnley away. So you're looking at that, and then Brighton at home in the Cup? So you look at that run of games and you think there's a lot of points there if this Manchester United team can perform something like, and they're not picking up anything like the number of points. And they've been given gifts in this last few weeks to be able to get to the Champions League places, and those gifts, they've not basically welcomed them with open arms. They've literally refused them. And I'm really worried, because they should be winning games like tonight. I know there'll be people who say, well, why should they? What right have you got to win a football match? But let's be clear, Wolves have got 2 points all season. Manchester United at home, they still had a forward line tonight of Šeško, Cunha and Xerxes. That forward line's cost how much? 170 million. Let's not feel sorry for ourselves. You know what I mean? It's like, whether you like those players or not, they've cost 150, 160, 170 million quid between the three of them. So for me, it's a struggle. And look, that's a bad one tonight, I think.
And I'm going to add to you, tactical. That's why Xerxes went off.
No, that's not right. No, it's not right. I'm sorry. That's a really bad one. That's a bad one. I don't need to say any more than that. That should not have happened. No. To pay Xerxes in that right channel in itself is not acceptable, because we've seen him in that right channel and left channel before. He doesn't play well there. It's not fair on him. You know, it'd be like playing me. I'm trying to think where you'd play me that wouldn't be fair. Anywhere but right back, probably.
Goalkeeper?
Yeah, it'd be like playing me in midfield and say, go on, Gary, go and do us a job. It's just never going to work. And then to not put him off the front with Šeško and just put Dorgu to the right and Cunha to the left, and sort of say, let's just, drop the game that we're playing here. I honestly, I think that's a really, really poor decision. And look, I was a manager for 4 months, so there'll be people watching saying, what right have you got to talk about being a manager? I can talk about, I've watched 3,000 games here. I know what a football match looks like on this pitch. I know what right and wrong looks like on this pitch. And that's not right. It's not right.
So it seems to be one step forward, one step back for Manchester United at the moment.
And look, they're going to come under pressure in this next couple of days. I'm disappointed tonight, because I think I've seen really good performances, even though we haven't had results in this last couple of weeks, because I've seen that there have been a shift in the enjoyment of the players, in the way in which they've tweaked it. What they did at Villa with they had Cunha, Mount and Fernandes, I think, behind Šeško, didn't they? That was really good. 3 behind the one, so you've got attacking players on the pitch. What he did against Newcastle, I thought was fantastic, because I was really worried about what we were going to do. But I thought the way in which he played Cunha, Mount and Dorgu, and then Šeško up front, again, I thought he made the best of a bad situation without the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Ahmed and Mbeumo. Tonight, I think we've gone backwards, because I think the manager's stubbornness has, I don't know what he's done tonight. And it is what it is. Let's get home. Let's get home. And we'll be all right in the morning. We'll get up again, and there'll be full house here next time Manchester United play. And that's the reality of it. 75,000 people will walk back across that forecourt with hopes and dreams. But that's a bad one.
Well, thank you, Gary, and wishing you a happier new year.
Thank you.